speaker for this evening is Travis Henry. He is COO from SalesSource. Having spent his career operating in every part of the revenue generation chain, Travis is uniquely equipped to help clients accelerate their growth trajectories. He currently leads the consulting practice at SalesSource, advising sales and marketing leadership on the people, process, and technology necessary to building successful revenue operations. Previously, Travis led the sales development team at Bluewolf, the top global consulting partner of Salesforce that was acquired by IBM in 2016. After holding roles in go-to-market planning and marketing operations, he started his career in Oracle's Sales Academy, first hitting the phones as an SDR and later selling enterprise database solutions to emerging startups. He received his BA from UC Berkeley, where he graduated Phi Beta Kappa with high honors. And his title for his speech this evening is Smarter Outbound, How Technology is Changing the Game. So please join me in welcoming Travis to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Thanks for that introduction, Claire. Certainly interesting times that we're living in right now, and I think everything with coronavirus has become much more real over the past few weeks. I know that I'm dialing in here from the San Francisco Bay Area, and we've just been placed into a 3-week shelter in place in our home. So very much coming into our daily lives. And in a consulting capacity, we've had sales leaders and revenue leaders reaching out to us over the past several weeks asking, what should we do about this? How do we change our operations, and how do we change our go-to-market? And I think one of the key pieces, or a couple of the key pieces that have stood out to me having those conversations is that, to Owen's point, you can't stop selling. Business can't stop moving forward. It's just going to fundamentally change some of the strategies and the tactics that we're using to go to market and continue building the business given these macro circumstances. And there's two kind of initial tactics that I would take if I was sitting in seat as a revenue leader today, thinking about, tomorrow morning when I go into the office or when I get online with my team, what are the tips and guidance that I can give to my team? What are the actions I can take immediately? And what we know for certain is that inbound is going to fall off dramatically. Obviously, events is the biggest piece of that, and that tends to be a huge lead driver for most of the companies that we work with. So I would meet with my marketing team, look at the lead forecast, and really get to truth about where are we going to drive demand over the next months, quarters, and where is the shortfall going to be on our inbound side. The other thing that I would do is get to truth in our pipeline. So I think there's a tendency for sales reps and individual contributors to be optimistic about their opportunities in their pipeline in any given period, and that's just a universal truth. Right now, what I would do is make my sales team very comfortable to share with me exactly what is happening within their deals, and to get to that by encouraging those sales reps to have conversations with their customers and to really understand, how has their buying process changed? What has happened with procurement? What are the different impacts of the coronavirus on their buying behavior? And something that's happened across our client base actually is unsurprising. Pipelines are shrinking and forecasts are coming down. And the biggest pivot that we've seen, and the thing that remains true, is the focus on outbound. And what's key to great outbound is really knowing your customer, knowing your prospect, and providing value to them. And I think one of the most important things as you think about your outbound strategy today in this environment is approaching it with a sense of empathy, right? Really communicating and showing that you understand there's a broader context here that's affecting your buyers, that they may not be able to make decisions quickly, that there's an atmosphere of fear, but then ultimately really focusing on what is our messaging that we're bringing to market, and how are we really solving problems and making lives easier for our prospects, even in this time. I know that one of the key pieces to enabling your team to do that is giving them the right technology and giving them the right tools so that they're able to deliver a great customer experience to your prospects, even in this time. And I know back in my early days in my first sales job, I remember when I came into the office on the first day, I was given a spreadsheet with all of the potential prospects that I needed to reach out to, their phone number, their email, and then the notes that had been left by my predecessor. There's absolutely no tools or technology in place to help me do my job. And it made it really, really difficult to provide a great customer experience and to provide value to my end prospects. And the good news is that today, technology gives us an unbelievable opportunity to add more value in our outbound and to be more empathetic to our prospects. One of the key things that I would focus on today in terms of outbound is if you have a sales engagement platform like SalesLoft or Outreach, really taking a step back and inviting in your marketing leaders, your product experts, any other SMEs that you have within your company, and taking a fresh look at what is the messaging that we are bringing to market, and how are we really speaking to the pain and the challenges that our prospects are facing. And I think now there's no better time than now to bring value to those customers, and to really just give it all away, and to be consultative and to be teaching. One of my favorite books is The Challenger Sale, which is all about how do we really inspire and tailor and ultimately challenge our customers to think differently. And I think if companies today can do that from an outbound perspective while remaining empathetic, they'll be better off for it. Another piece that I would focus on today is taking a fresh look at who is your ideal customer profile and what is your target account list. Hopefully everyone who's on this broadcast has a sense of who our ideal customers are and what are the characteristics that make up those accounts. I think today we need to do more with less, right? You might be thinking about hiring freezes or restrictions on headcount growth. The idea of spending the right amount of time and the right focus on the right accounts is more important than ever. So again, I would look at what is our target addressable market, which verticals do we do best in, what are the specific buyer personas we should be approaching within those accounts, and how do we start to really get a sense of prioritization around those companies. And outbound is phenomenal because you can pick the perfect accounts to go after, where you can provide the perfect message, and you can convert those accounts that will not only convert initially, but they'll renew and they'll expand. And something that helps teams do that today is really understanding what are the signals coming out of accounts. How do I know it's the right time to reach out to this particular company, knowing somewhat that they're in market, that our message will resonate. And the very bare bones version of that is as simple as using a Google alert, right? So having your team go out and set up alerts for the keywords of either your competitors or your solution or the problem you solve, and having those proactively pushed to your sales team. So again, they can prioritize their time and they can focus on the accounts that are most likely to convert. Another big piece that's become critical for outbound is the notion of signal and intent data. So if you're using a vendor like Bombora or 6 Sense, or even if you haven't heard of these vendors before, I would argue that now is the best time to think about signal and intent data. And for those that aren't familiar with this, it's effectively the ability to identify and monitor your target accounts and to understand when they are searching for keywords or other indicators on the internet that relate to your product or your value proposition. Absolutely the time to focus on that prioritization effort and that effort of focus. The final piece I'll say is that, you know, to Gary's point, tripling down on technology is absolutely critical, and thinking about, you know, data vendors, whether that be Clearbit or ZoomInfo, just understanding what does that target addressable market look like, how can we start to go outbound, and again, ultimately bring empathy and a focus on the value proposition to those accounts. So thanks for having me on.